Hey, welcome to the Travel Ones podcast. Today my guest is country singer-songwriter Payton Howie. How are you today, Payton?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing excellent. I'm having a pretty good day. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm so happy to start talking to artists that are performing again. It's been a long year and a half or so.
I know. It's been crazy. I mean, I've been one of the artists that have been lucky enough to still be able to play shows during, the whole lockdown thing. I was able to find, the places that were still, having live music, and I was traveling all over the state playing different shows. So I was lucky enough to not be, completely away from shows. But I mean, now that things are opening up, it's still, it doesn't compare at all. It's getting back, and country music is back, and I'm super stoked.
Absolutely. And you have your new hit out, Freedom.
Yeah, I just dropped that one on Memorial Day weekend alongside the music video. It just came out.
Yeah, that's a cool video.
Thank you very much.
It seems like you've been releasing singles. You do covers, but you've been releasing singles. When is the full album coming out?
So the 5-song EP is coming out at the end of this year. I can't be too specific because it's all top secret, but it's coming out towards the end of this year. I'm just so excited. It's probably one of the hardest things is to hold in like new music that's like been done and finished, and you just want to share it with everyone, but you can't yet. I
know the feeling. It's like just like after I record like this episode, and then I have to wait a few weeks. It's like, oh.
Exactly. I just want everyone to hear it. It's the hardest thing.
Exactly. I've just released them all, but I'm supposed to do it on a timely fashion, I guess.
Yeah, timely fashion.
So you're young, but you've been singing for quite a long time. Kind of give my listeners a background of how you got started in singing and music.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was 5, my mom took me out to my very first concert. It was like a big outdoor arena, and I was dancing out in the aisles, like of the rows of chairs there, and the lights were like panning across the audience, and one of them like stopped on me, and it was Carrie Underwood. Actually, she was singing on stage, and she like stopped the concert, and she like told her bodyguard, "Hey, like go bring that little girl up on stage." So she like it was totally crazy. She brought me up on stage, and like we were like singing and dancing, and just like I was getting to look out and see just like this like whole sea of people that are like all just vibing to the music and just having a good time and all connecting like with. It's just like music is such a universal thing, and that's what I love so much about it. And I think that's really what like captured my attention as far as pursuing music as a career. Like I love it. I love being able to play songs and people be like, "Oh my gosh, I love that song," or "Oh my gosh, that song really hit home." That's like my favorite thing about music. And just after that moment, at that young age, I just kind of grew up with more of like a traditional music influence. And I love all the classic greats, traditional country music, the women in country music that really just influenced my style and in my art. And, I'm also just kind of on a mission to bring that back to country music. And that's what I'm doing.
Well, and so you're living in Texas now, but how much traveling are you doing between Nashville, California, and Texas? And then anywhere else?
I'll be honest, a ridiculous amount of traveling. I mean, and it's crazy, especially considering everything that's going on in the world right now, and still being able to travel and just being able to get things done. It's actually gone a lot smoother than most people would think, and it's been awesome. I've been able to get out to Nashville, and I've been. I wrote the whole 5-song EP and recorded and everything. And now we're shooting music videos. I'm shooting one out in Nashville. The Freedom music video was shot out in Texas. So everyone's kind of going all over the place, and it's like super crazy busy, but it's never been better. So I'm loving it.
Well, that's what's awesome. Have you noticed any differences when we were deep into COVID and now? Have you noticed any, like at the airports? Like for me, it seems like traffic is getting back to normal, which isn't always a good thing. But
yeah, well, it's crazy. And when COVID like first kind of started, and I was like still needing to travel and things of that nature, flights were actually not very expensive at all, and there was hardly, and like 90% of the time, my flight would be like half full. Like there'd be no one on the plane, which is kind of cool because then you get like a whole row to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But now it's like now that things are getting back to normal. Flights are, full flights, and everything seems to be pretty much back to normal. You know, everyone's just kind of getting where they need to go, and things are kind of getting back to usual now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I remember I went to LAX and I was flying, I think, back from Denver, and I'm like, I'm in LAX and in Terminal 1, there's no one there. And you're like, are they open? Like,
oh yeah, it's it's like doesn't even seem real. You like get there and there's like no one there.
Well, then driving on the 405 freeway, and the freeways around here, 91 and all that, and you're like, there's no traffic. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and that's a crazy thing, especially coming back into California for the first time in over a year. It's like crazy coming back and seeing all the traffic. I'm like, there it is.
The circle around Houston gets pretty bad at times too, though.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, I will say it does. It can get pretty crazy around there, but I've never sat so long in a car not moving than in California.
We're special that way.
Love it.
Do you have plans to move to Nashville, or are you going to stay in Texas for a while?
Yeah, so I'm planning on going. So I pretty much lived in Nashville half the time. I live out in Nashville half the time. The other half the time I live in Texas playing shows and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm planning to be out there more full time now, especially that everything's kind of chilling out with COVID. I'm able to be out there more, and yeah, I'm definitely planning to be out there more full time.
It's interesting because I was going to ask you, the music industry is rough, like especially in Nashville. Like there's a lot of places to play, but there's a lot of people waiting to play in those places, like on Broadway.
Yeah.
You know,
oh yeah.
Do you think your background as an athlete has gotten you ready for this? Just the competitive nature.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I kind of view it that way. It's like, I think growing up, you know, playing sports like my entire life has kind of prepared me for that team effort. And I mean, especially like the route I'm trying to go as an original artist and, you know, pushing for that end goal, which is, you know, to, you know, get the music out there as far as you can. It's like, you can't do it without a team. And like all the sports that I played growing up were team sports, you know? So understanding that each person in the team has a specific role, and understanding that if I don't go out and do my part, then it doesn't work out for everybody else, and vice versa. It's just, and yeah, there is a lot of competition, I would say, out in Nashville and in Texas as well, like all over the place. California, there's competition everywhere you go, especially in the music industry. And I think for my age, I do think that I luckily have an advantage being the age that I am, that like I'm able to start off younger and start off, you know, with the help and the guidance of people that have been in the industry longer. I'm honestly, I feel really lucky to have had like the influences that I have had with people that have been in the industry, like people from co-writers to producers, you know, managers, all of that nature. So I mean, I will say that, yeah, being an athlete has definitely prepared me for that. But not to mention, also, I've been helped with like just people in the industry that have come alongside me and helped me out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, because I was an athlete too, so like I always try to equate, you know, if you want to learn how to throw a ball or catch a football or a baseball, softball, whatever, you don't just start one day and all of a sudden it works. It takes time.
Yeah, what sport did you play?
I played football and I wrestled.
Very cool. Very cool.
How about you? Other than softball, did you play anything?
Well, yeah, my main sport was softball. I did volleyball for a little bit. Oh my goodness, I did everything from like gymnastics to ice skating to I don't even know. I played like every sport. My parents were like the kind of parents that were like, you can try everything and you just got to pick one.
Yeah. See, my dad said, you're playing football. I was like, all right. It's totally the opposite. He's like, I don't know anything about baseball. I can't help you there. Let's play football. We got it. Let's go.
Love it. Yeah. I think most guys grow up playing football. I think it's great to have like being involved in a team sport at a young age. I think it just gets you set for life. I
agree. I mean, they even say like a lot of like major corporations want to hire athletes because they have, it's just a mindset. Like, you know, you don't start today for the championship game. It's a process, and singing, your career is going to be the same way.
Yeah, I think that's something that sports really did teach me, is like how to understand that just because something isn't working out right now doesn't mean it's never going to work out. Like, and I mean, I'm going to use the softball analogy. Like, you know, if you're in a slump or you're striking out or the game's not going the way that you want it to go, if you just be like, oh yeah, whatever, like game's over, and you just give up, obviously it's going to be over. But if, you know, I keep pushing, like in my career, like if I'm hitting a wall and I'm trying to figure out a way to get this opportunity or to like reach a certain level of this, or this milestone, whatever it is, if I keep pushing and I keep persevering, like I learned to do it in sports at a young age, then I'm going to get there.
Absolutely. See, that's well, you're young to begin with, so you got time on your hands, but just keep pushing. I mean, that's the athletic way, I guess.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, it's like, what position did you play in softball?
So I was a catcher, and then I played center field.
Oh, catcher. Well, I mean, I guess it was like preparing to throw somebody out at second base, right?
Oh yeah.
How many throws?
You got to be ready.
How many throws did you make? How many practice throws do you think you took over your career?
Oh my gosh, many to count.
Yeah.
Way too many to count.
Exactly. And that'll be the same way. You know, I wonder if young people think, well, I'm going to come out with a hit record and it's just going to blow up and I'm going to be famous. Do you think artists you've met think that way, or most of them pretty realistic about it's a grind?
You know, I will say, I think it is a mentality. I think if someone, I mean, I will say, I won't name names, but I've met a few people that are like, oh yeah, like I got this in the bag. Like I'm going to put out this song. It's going to be a hit. I mean, I've met a few people that are like that. And I think while yes, it is great to be optimistic, I think there is something that comes with humility, and something that comes with being like more grateful for every opportunity, and understanding that it's a growth process, and you're not just going to like drop a single, you know, starting from the bottom and then all of a sudden be a superstar overnight, you know? I think that's rare. More realistic. And I think that's another thing that sports teaches is like life, you know, having a realistic perspective on life and understanding that it takes work and you don't just get it overnight.
I haven't met the person yet. I'm sure they're out there, but I mean, even at your young age, like if like you were just named New Country Artist of the Year, right? I think it was last year.
Actually, yeah, I won a Josie Award last year.
Yeah. But yeah. How long have you been singing now? You know what I mean?
Oh, goodness. I mean, just singing in general, I've been singing forever. I've always like loved singing and loved music, but I would say like professionally, like pursuing it as a career, I would say since I was about 15, 16.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like Chris Stapleton winning the Grammy or the ACM New Artist of the Year, and you're like, yeah, he's been playing for like 20 years.
Oh yeah. He's amazing.
Who are your favorite singers that you kind of, I wouldn't say copy, but like listen to and appreciate?
You know, I think a lot of my favorite artists that I'm influenced by in my music are, you know, have a more traditional style, have a more like true, like grit country style. And I would definitely say off the top, like Reba, just like her storytelling abilities, and Loretta Lynn, like I love like her attitude, and just like if you listen to some of Loretta's songs just back in like her time when, you know, in her prime when she was like dropping all that music and all the songs she was putting out, they were so just unique in the way of like how women were viewed back then. And then she's putting out this song, like these songs like Fifth City and, you know, You Ain't Woman Enough. And it's just so funny to listen to that and think that she just had like the guts to put that music out there at that time. Like that's how the world viewed women at that time. And she's putting music out like that. I thought that was great. And more new country, I would say now, I love Ashley McBryde. I really do. Gretchen Wilson. I really love their style and their sound.
Well, in some of your covers, you do a lot of covers of male singers.
Yeah, I do. I love a lot of songs that guys are putting out nowadays. I will say that some guys in today's country are putting out more what I would consider to be not traditional sounding, but more gritty, aggressive music. And I love that style. Like, I feel like that's something that country music could use a little bit more of nowadays. It's just like that kick butt style that's just, you know, out there and bold country music.
Well, I hear you. My favorite song of yours right that I listened to was Catch Flights.
Catch Flights, yeah.
Yeah, but because obviously that's what we, as traveling salespeople and traveling people, that's what we do.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Catching flights 24/7.
And then F-150 is a good one because I'm in I have a Jeep, but I'm in a Jeep all the time driving up and down the state. So yeah,
there you go. You're always driving around. Yep.
So your songs, yeah, I'll be happy to hear your full album because you have, I mean, Troublemaker's good, Freedom's great. So
thank you very much.
Is it just a matter of is it just a process trying to get the songs together? I have no idea what it takes to put a record together.
Well, if I'm being honest, it was like, it almost felt like magic putting all this whole EP together, because I sat down with my co-writers. My co-writers were Michael Austin, Eric Halbig, and Joanna Yeager, and we all sat down. We were out in Nashville, and we were just writing and just talking about everything. And I was throwing out some things that I wanted to write about. We were all just, you know, creating music, creating art, and it wasn't even a struggle at all. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck on this song. Like, it all just came out. I literally think we wrote the entire EP in the matter of like 4 days. It literally was just the simplest thing. And we were just like having a good time. Michael was making food and we were just creating art, and it was the coolest thing. And just talking about, I will say, like, on the EP, each song really does kind of explain like a different piece of my heart and something different that is a different part of me. I would say each song is a different part of me. Yeah. And I'm really just so excited that the EP came out the way that it did. And now it's just a matter of, you know, releasing them in a timely manner, strategically releasing them in a timely manner, and making sure that we can get the most out of it that we can. Because, I mean, personally, I'm really proud of these songs. I'm really proud of the work that we put into the EP. And I couldn't have done any of it without, you know, the team that I had behind me. And not to mention the musicians that were on the EP were insane. Like, my steel player was Mike Johnson. He's Reba's steel player. And my bass player, he's played with Dolly and Hank and Garth. And my keys player, he played for Tim McGraw's name's Billy Noble. He's fantastic. It was just the coolest thing. And then Eric, one of the co-writers, he also played lead on a lot of the songs. And he's played for Sarah Evans. He's played with Jake Owens. Like, the names on the musical side, you know, I was just like mind blown standing in the studio with these guys and getting to create something that I could, you know, have and keep and show to the world. So I'm stoked.
It's interesting. I watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff with different bands, and some songs take years to craft, and they'll come back to them and change them, and then others they just drop out of the sky.
Yeah, it is crazy how that happens. Some songs, and I think it's funny, like, some of the best songs and, you know, the most popular songs in the world are like, oh yeah, we wrote that in like 10 minutes.
I interviewed Billy. He's an older guy, my age. Billy Idol.
Oh, cool.
And
no way.
I interviewed his guitarist, Steve Stevens, and he told me he won a Grammy for writing the theme song to Top Gun. And I go,
really?
I go, how'd that come about? And he goes, Harold Faltermeyer, who co-wrote the Top Gun theme song, was working on the Billy Idol album. And Harold goes, hey, Steve, I got an opportunity to do this movie with this guy named Tom Cruise. It's a flight movie. Maybe we could watch it, and maybe you could help me out with it. He goes, yeah. So they look at it after working on the Billy Idol album. They watch part of the movie, and Steve gets inspired and lays down a track, and like 3 or 4 hours later, they're done. Wins a Grammy. He's making money for the next 40 years.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. What a story.
And yeah, literally didn't know. It wasn't planned. It wasn't like, hey, let's meet up. It was like, hey, what are you doing right now? Well, let's work on it. Sure.
That is crazy. I love stories like that where it just makes it seem so like simple and attainable and just like so real. I love that.
Well, it's kind of the don't overthink it type thing.
Oh yeah, especially that.
So will some of your older songs be on the album, or are you just keeping those as singles?
So the 2 songs that I've released lately, Run Boy Run and Freedom, those are going to be on the EP. The other songs that I have out right now, like Catch Flags, F-150, all those are going to be singles that I still have. But there's still a couple songs on the EP that are completely unheard. No one's heard them or anything like that. So those are like super fresh, and I'm excited to put them out. Super, super new, and I'm just excited to share like the work that we put into it. I know I have another single coming out at the end of the summer. Can't be specific about the date,
I know.
But it's coming very soon, and a music video with it as well. So that's something that can be expected.
I'm just curious because I grew up in the heart of when music videos were everything. I mean, literally everything.
Yeah.
And now CMT still plays a lot of videos, I guess. But do you find them still being important? I mean, I'm sure it's something you enjoy doing, but.
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I think that's something that I've been learning a lot, especially considering that Freedom, the last video that I just put out, was the first music video that I shot. And it really is like, it's a visual for people to look at. And it's just one more thing that, generating publicity and people getting excited about the song. Not to mention, I think Freedom being the first song that I shot a video for was kind of like ironically perfect because when you listen to Freedom, it's pretty straightforward. I do think it has a very straightforward message, but the story that we told in the music video with, the story of like young love and this young guy, enlisting in the military and asking the girl that he's with to wait for him. Like, I think, whether someone hears that in the song or not, being able to visualize it through the video with the song, I really think was very important. And I think it really did a lot for the song itself. And I'm really glad that I got to shoot the music video. It was awesome. I shot it with Kevin Garcia, and he's done stuff for Korn, for Poppy, for Chaka Khan, Jay Leno, G-Eazy. He's like got all these crazy names that he's worked with. And so he literally took the visions that like we had for Freedom, the music video, and just completely brought it to life. And was like, yeah, got it. He wasn't even like, oh yeah, whatever, got it, totally cool. He was the coolest guy. So
that's awesome.
I do think music videos really bring a song to life, and I think it gives people different perspective on the song.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And it's interesting because there are songs now that I hear, and I only think of the video. Because when growing up, you would sit around on MTV and wait to see when the new song was going to come out, and then you'd watch that video, and then you'd wait for it, and you'd just watch it over and over again. And so that video is that song. So it's interesting.
I really do think music videos allow people to hear the song and hear the story in a different light. Like Lainey Wilson, she just came out with her song, "A Thing's a Man Ought to Know." And I was like, oh yeah, I like this song. Like, it's cool, it's relatable. I like it, And then she came out with this video, and in the music video, it's depicting like a young couple, and they have like a little girl together. And like, I guess, from what I can understand from the video, they're like tight on money. And so he goes out and he like robs a liquor store, and he like, his friend gets shot and he gets arrested. And it's like this crazy thing. And I never would have thought of that in the song. And now like every time I hear this song, it just has a whole different meaning to me. Like, the fact that they came up with that and like came up with the story that lines up with the song. But if you listen to the song, you don't hear that, oh, he robbed a liquor store or something like that. So, I mean, I think that's a great example for sure.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. Have you played at, or you have any plans to play during NFR in Las Vegas?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, I know it's coming back this year. It didn't happen last year for the first time in forever, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's a lot of things that are like, it's happening, it's not. I know like a lot of things like CRS and NAMM and stuff like that, but not too sure.
I know NFR is happening. I was just told by my boss that I'm planning to go again. So
awesome.
Well, yeah, you say awesome. I say 16 straight days of work.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Take it both ways.
Well, that's all my friends are like, oh, dude, you get to go to Vegas. And I'm like, dude, go sleep in a hotel room for 16 straight days.
I hate Vegas.
Yeah. And this isn't my first trip, so I've seen everything I need to see in Vegas, but. Yeah.
I've seen everything. There's lots to see in Vegas.
There is. There's quite a bit, especially during NFR.
I bet. I've never been there during NFR, so I'm sure it's probably crazy.
It's so surreal because we show up 4 days before the rodeo starts to set up our booths. And we set up last time we set up 13 different booths at 3 different locations. And
wow.
So we're setting it up, and as you walk through the casinos, it's normal everyday stuff in all the casinos. Like it's just Vegas. And then day one of the NFR, when the rodeo starts, everybody changes. All the people that work there at the MGM start wearing Western clothing because we supply them. And but all the banners go up, and they're playing country music over the speakers, throughout the casinos.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then there's all of a sudden people in cowboy hats start showing up, and you're like, where am I? And then like the day after, it's all down. It's all gone.
No way.
Yeah, literally, because the last day of the rodeo is Saturday, and then some of the one venue is still open on Sunday, so we work that, and then we tear down on Monday, and I drive home on Monday, and it's like it never happened. Every banner, every NFR thing, cowboy, gone in one day.
That's crazy. What a transition.
Yeah. So the people that go there that just show up for the rodeo, they're like, this is awesome. It's like this all the time. I'm like, no, it's not.
You definitely not like this all the time.
It's definitely not. Yeah, but yeah. Is it, I'm just curious as a young singer, like, are you trying to and I'm sure your management and all that would have input, but like, are you always trying to get to bigger venues, or is it just different venues, or is it more shows, or a balance, or?
Oh yeah, I definitely would say. I mean, and then that's something that I do work on myself as well, not just my team. But obviously, I have goals to play it, keep growing or keep traveling and moving out. But yeah, I'm super stoked to be playing some bigger venues this summer. I'm playing the Old Town Music Festival this summer, and that's going to be huge. Chris Jansen, the band Perry, that's probably going to be one of the biggest festivals I've ever played so far, and I'm stoked for that. And I'm getting to play Do-Si-Do coming up in Texas, and that's a pretty well-known venue out in Texas. And I'm getting to play Coach House in July out in California. So
that's the show I'm going to try and catch you. I'll just head down the
that one's going to be super fun.
And when you look back, if you ever look up the Coach House and who's played there, you'll be like, oh, I mean, a lot of people.
I know. I'm looking at it, not just who's played there before, but who's also playing there, like
coming up,
leading up to the show that I'm playing. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so many like crazy names up here.
My wife saw some 80s groups there 2 years ago, and then you like I said, you start looking at it and you're like, oh, this is like, they're like real people.
Right, I know. It's crazy. I was looking at their lineup. It's pretty decent.
Yeah, and it'll get better. As people need to get out. It's going to be interesting.
Right, and that's the thing. Being out in California, like I have been just this summer, it's crazy to see. And I mean, not so much in Texas, just because things weren't necessarily like that out in Texas. But in California, It's crazy. Like I'll be playing shows and I'll have people coming up to me, man, this is the first show I've been to in over a year. Like, this is so awesome. And it's crazy to think, I'm like, you haven't been out in over a year? I'm like, it's just crazy the different places you go, the places are handling it differently, just in different states.
Well, yeah. So my wife and I just, for Christmas time, right before Christmas, we went to Nashville. I had been a few times for work, and she had never been. And we were in full lockdown mode at that point in California, and we go there and like Broadway's open, and there's live bands playing at 10 o'clock in the morning on Broadway, and you're like, I guess we can go have fun now. It was
yeah,
and we hadn't seen live music in 10 months, so yeah, it was the same way.
It really is. It's like every state you go to is handling everything. I mean, much differently than the state right next to it, which is a good, and I think it's a good thing, honestly, I will say, because just being able to travel so much during this time, it's, you're kind of all like waiting to see like, okay, like what is this state doing? How are we handling this?
Yeah. Well, that's got to be a real hard thing for tour managers. Like, how do they set that up? You know, it's like you got to learn.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. That's a whole different level, I guess. But
yeah, I think that's something that kind of depends on the venue and depends on, kind of what they're willing to do and stuff like that. But then again, I think that's not like a huge issue considering if people are going to pay money to attend a show. You know, I think they're kind of choosing to go and do that. So I think that's my opinion.
Well, I know the Foo Fighters just got in trouble because they announced that they were doing a show in New York, and
oh, really?
So their fans went out and bought tickets, and then they announced that you have to be vaccinated before you go to the show.
That sucks.
And so some of the fans were upset because it was only like a 2-week notice, so they couldn't even if they wanted to get vaccinated, they couldn't get vaccinated in time to go to the show. And then some people bought the tickets and weren't vaccinated, so even if they wanted to get, it was a mess. So. Oh
no, that's not cool.
So, but yeah, so I mean, there's going to be a lot of. I know. I talked to a guy that works at the Staples Center, and he's a ticket broker, and so he bought a whole bunch of the tickets for the suites for upcoming shows and concerts and games, and then he found out afterwards that they had to be vaccinated, and so a lot of people that he sells to aren't vaccinated or weren't vaccinated in time, so he got stuck with tens of thousands of dollars of tickets that he just bought. So
I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. I know, like the big show here right now is California's Mid-State Fair. Paso Robles coming up in July.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out because Big and Rich play there, and then my friend Cowboy Troy plays with them. So
oh, very cool.
I'll go try and see him, but I don't know I don't know. We'll see how everything goes. The rodeos are doing the same thing. It's kind of interesting, state to state.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Well, it's for you. I think it's kind of cool because being at a young age, you're going to look back in 10 or 15 or 20 years and remember this time. And be like, I remember.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a weird thing to think about, thinking that, my kids are going to be reading about this in a history book.
Right? We're reading about the impeachments and the election, the insurrection, the vaccine. I mean, all that crazy stuff in 1 year.
Oh, man.
So, that'd be good. So after your website shows you have pretty much gigs booked all the way through August, do you have anything set up after that and you're just waiting, or?
Well, yeah, I have some dates that are coming up that I can't,
okay.
That I try to space out the time that I announce shows and things of that nature coming up. But yeah, I have a lot of things coming up, lots of releases and different events coming up in the future and definitely towards the end of the year.
Well, you got
especially when the
Freedom
coming out.
Freedom Jam's going to be awesome.
Freedom Jam's going to be a big one. I'm super stoked for that one. I got to play it last year, and I'm really excited to be going back.
Yeah, my friends that live they go to that. They live in Missouri, so that's a big one.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
So, what's the best way? I'll close off. What's the best way for my listeners to find out what you have going on? How do you want them to follow you?
Well, my Instagram is Payton Howie Music, PaytonHowie, and that's my Instagram. Same thing with my Facebook page, Payton Howie Music, and you can check out all my stuff there. And I have a website, PaytonHowie.com. I got all my shows listed there. I got some merch, music, all that fun stuff. So that's the best way to stay connected. I love to stay connected with you guys. If you're listening, thank you. And yeah,
I'm sorry, but I was just thinking, like, what's the biggest effect? How do you want people? Do you want people to buy your music? Is it Spotify streams? I mean, how does that? What do artists look for now? What is the measuring? Because it used to be record sales, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
Right. I would say, I think that all is just kind of something that's based on opinion. I would say personally, for me, I've seen that the thing that is helping artists the most nowadays is Spotify streams.
Okay.
Because I think that's something that a lot of labels look at. I think a lot of people are looking at Spotify streams and listeners and different playlists you've been added to and things of that nature. So I would say Spotify is probably having one of the greatest impacts nowadays for artists.
So all my listeners go to Spotify and listen and follow Payton on Spotify. We'll help you out.
That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you ever need a pair of boots or anything, shoot me a call.
I will definitely take you up on that. I pretty much own stock in Boot Barn. I love Boot Barn.
I actually do. You can buy stock in Boot Barn. They went public a few years ago.
Oh, wow. And that wasn't serious, but hey.
Yeah. You keep them going, and their stock will keep going up.
There you go.
But yeah, seriously, if you ever need anything, just let me know.
I will definitely take you up on that offer. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I'll hopefully I'll see you in July at the Coach House, and enjoy.
That'd be awesome.
All the other shows you got coming up. It's awesome. Keep going.
Awesome. I'd love to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Payton. I really appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.